If I can introduce myself first of all, my name is Zoe Tarr and I'm the branch manager here of the Clifton branch for lettings. I've been working in the industry for 13 years, so I do have a wealth of knowledge and encountered many challenging situations. The whole... don't know why that's quite... Richard, will you just be able to turn that off by unplugging it, if that's okay, please? Perfect, thank you very much. The whole purpose of this evening is hopefully to give you some information. We've got some of you which are already landlords and already have properties, and probably a number of questions that we hope to answer today. But there are also a number of you which are new and looking to embark on the challenge of becoming a landlord, and we're here to hopefully stop any pitfalls or give you some top suggestions. After my presentation, we have Russell Clark, who's the mortgage consultant, the area manager for Bristol and Gloucestershire, and he's going to be talking about the buy-to-let market in terms of borrowing and deals that are currently available on the market. So, if we begin, we're going to start by giving you an overview of the property market. So, whilst in the first quarter we have seen a slight increase in the property prices, their prices are still quite low around there. That, coupled with low mortgage rates at the moment, I mean, it's a perfect opportunity to expand and look to add property onto your portfolio. You'll also see that coming at the end of this year or beginning of next, we've got the Help to Buy scheme. So that's the local government which are going to be funding extra money in to help underpin and get the mortgages back out there and lending. The average first-time buyer has to pay a deposit of up to 80% of their income. So you're seeing that the majority of them are actually renting, and we're seeing the growth in the private rental market there. The average age of our first-time buyer is around 35 years of age. So therefore, they need somewhere to live when they're moving out of home and looking somewhere to rent. We've seen a big increase dramatically, which has happened over 2012 and 2013, with the percentage of the lets that we do increasing by 15%. What we're also finding is that tenants are wanting more of a home, so they're staying longer where they are. So if we can get a good tenant and the right property, the average term that we're finding is around 18 to 19 months. You notice that Moves With Us has said that rents did fall slightly. However, that's not something that we've been experiencing here at Andrews. If anything, in certain pockets, we've been finding that rents have been holding them same or increasing because we have a tenant and demand issue at the moment. We're finding that the average rent is around £800. So as long as property is in good quality and up together, tenants are willing to pay the money. We're finding that the average rate of return for our buy-to-let landlords is around 5.5%. Now, what you'll find in your information books, bags that we've given you as well, is that there's a selection of investment properties, so things that we've highlighted with a higher yield returns. There are some 6 and 7% returns there as well, with properties that we've identified for you. Talking about the voids, this is the gaps in the tenancy, in between tenancies that we find. So those are slightly up. Now the reason that they are up is if the property isn't in good condition, tenants are becoming a lot fussier because they are wanting to find that home as opposed to their crash pad. At Andrews here in this branch, we are looking around 1 to 2 week void period. So it's actually kind of reducing on the average that you've got there. So the forthcoming challenges. So as a landlord, what is out there? What are the pitfalls that we need to be looking out for? How is it going to be affecting us? I've already mentioned a little bit on the quality of property, also the quality of an agent that you're using as well. Many of our tenants now, when they come to us, they're actually asking about the landlord. Have we dealt with this landlord before? Does this landlord action his property? Does he deal with maintenance? This is, you've probably seen quite a bit in the news about licensing for landlords and agents to rule out the unscrupulous people, making sure that people are doing what they say that they're going to do. We'll also be seeing some changes which may affect you if you've got tenants currently which are receiving housing benefits. The whole government welfare system is looking at changing at the end of this year, so meaning you're not getting your separate housing benefit, council tax, it's all coming under a universal credit now. We have been seeing, particularly this year, an increase in tenants actually needing some kind of support in assisting with topping up their earnings, because rents are increasing, wages are staying the same or going down, so there is a bit of financial hardship out there, and people are increasingly offering on rental amounts. We've never seen that previously, but certainly this year tenants are trying to negotiate with longer terms for a reduction in the rental price. So an overview of the private rental sector. You'll see from the census data that there has been quite a growth in the period, and we're moving more into the European market. As I've said, tenants are looking for somewhere longer. So pick the right property, keep it up together well, and tenants will stay there for you. Seen a big increase in the 5% there between 2005 and 2011. You'll see actually in Bristol that there is actually a 10% increase. Now, why Bristol? Bristol is attracting lots of people. We're situated between London and the south, so people commuting and working. We've got two really good universities here, and the hospitals also work on rotation, so we're seeing lots of people coming in on contractual work, so lots of people looking for 1 to 2 year contracts. Future tenants, so what do they look like? Who do we want to be attracting? Because when we're thinking about buying property, we really need to be thinking of the target audience and who we are going to be marketing our property to. If you are looking for a family, which there is an increase in, you need to be thinking of the school catchment areas where are popular. That will generally add an increase onto the value of the property, but obviously the main fact is families will be looking at school catchment areas. We've got lots of young couples looking, so the 1 and 2 bedrooms are really popular in demand. In this area, we're finding that city centre stuff, as soon as it's coming on, is going out straight away. We're finding that if it's a 1-bed or studio apartment, people are generally expecting furniture to be provided, but anything above that, 2 beds and onwards, they're quite happy to start collecting furniture themselves because they know they're going to be renting for a good 4 to 5 years. It's quite interesting, I don't know if any of you are student landlords here, but we've seen quite a change. There's been a decrease in Bristol UE with the intake, with the stats that we had there. There is an increase in Bath. What that's meaning is this is the first year that we've actually seen more student properties which are vacant and on the market. So one thing we need to be thinking of if we're aiming for the student market is A, is that the best thing to limit? B, if we've already got an existing portfolio, are there certain changes or upgrades that we need to make? We have one client that we work with that has a portfolio of 15 properties, and in the last 6 months they've upgraded 15% of their portfolio. They're now actually achieving a much higher return. Everyone thinks student rent, I can get more weekly rent for it, and the tenants are actually staying longer. The quality of tenants that we had, as I mentioned, there is a variation out there. There's lots more people looking, and as I mentioned, there is a bit of a squeeze on affordability with some people. Therefore, referencing is absolutely essential on credit checking people to make sure that they are who they say they are and they've got the credentials to be renting. What you will find is that people that don't use agents will find that those type of tenants which have got poorer financial referencing will steer towards the private sector of landlords not using agents. We've talked about the increase in housing benefits as well, and that may well be causing more rent arrears as times go by, and it's about being aware of that and you as landlords taking precautions that should you not have the funds available to make that mortgage payment, having possibly an insurance product in place to guarantee that rental return for you. There's a number of products on the market which I'd strongly recommend in researching. As you said, with the survey on Rightmove, 22% of tenants actually said that rent accounts for 50% of their income. So all it takes is for a tenant, unfortunately, to not have their contract renewed and us instantly to be in a little bit of hardship and a problem. What you'll see is that the average arrears there is increasing. One thing that we're finding here at Andrews is that as soon as we're aware that someone hasn't paid that rent on day 2 or 3, we're giving them a call straight away to try to understand what the issue is, because active communication is really, really important. So the idea is that you're going to find a quality tenant that's going to move in, but there may well be some financial hardship. So you just have to think from a landlord's perspective, how can you bridge that gap? Or appointing an agent that can do all the rent chasing for you and making all those awkward calls. So before I conclude and pass across to Russell, a couple of questions for you to think about. Is your property portfolio currently yielding its maximum return? I had a situation just last week where we had found an introduction tenants to a property back in 2005, little 2-bedroom place just up in Brentry. We put the tenants in there in 2005 and they were paying market rent at the time of £525. That landlord thought his tenant was great, so never really increased the rent. They gave me a call to say their tenant was looking to move out, and what did I think we'd be able to achieve for them? They were absolutely shocked when I said they would be able to achieve a figure of £725 a month. So their fact is that if you do have a property, it's really important that you're actively reviewing that rent, and sometimes thinking that if you're not using an agent, you're saving yourself some money, you could potentially be losing. So just be mindful of increasing your rent on an annual basis. Are you on the best buy-to-let deal? Has your current product gone on to a variable rate? If so, there are really good products out there, some of which Russell will talk about to you to highlight saving you some money and getting more back. Have you got equity in your portfolio? So it's another thing that Russell's going to talk about in a little bit more of detail about geared investments and staggering the capital that you've got to expand on your portfolio.